They are one of the most successful and feared predators on the face of the earth. Wolves. For millions of years, the wolf has lived in packs, subscribing to the old adage, strength in numbers, to ensure their survival. But with individual wolves patrolling large stretches of land in search of food, the pack relies on one thing to keep it together: vocal communication. Wolf howls can travel up to 6 miles and help inform other pack members where everyone is.
A pack of wolves is a team working to hunt. Wolves will howl in order to find each other. So if an individual has left the pack for some time and is trying to find the rest of them, that individual will howl and will get a response, and that way can find the pack.
Wolves even use howling as a form of defense, to appear more powerful than they are.
Wolves as a group, as packs around the den site, have group howls to communicate to neighboring packs, hey, we're here, and listen to how big we are.
Wolf howls and every mammal cry have a 350 million year history that began when ancient creatures called tetrapods first moved from water to land.
It turns out that sound travels a lot better in water than on land, and so when animals moved onto land, they had to develop a whole new audio toolkit and new ways of producing sound.
Life on land demanded new audio equipment, an amplifier. What evolved in many animals was a voice box, or larynx, an organ with membranes that vibrate, making noise when air is pushed through them. Voice boxes allowed land dwellers to communicate by projecting sound waves through the air. A voice box would develop in almost all land animals, including humans. Wolves would use this new communication equipment to help make them stronger predators. But it would be one species' desire to reproduce that would drive it to develop a voice box more advanced than any other on the planet: birds. Each spring in woods everywhere, male songbirds begin singing in an attempt to woo females. To succeed, they need a method of communication that can penetrate dense forest.
One of the benefits of using sound over using visual signal, especially in an area like this where visual signals quickly get blocked by trees or leaves or other things, is that sound can permeate throughout an area in a very three-dimensional kind of way.
The key to bird communication lies in its incredibly sophisticated voice box. Unlike the single larynx in wolves and humans, songbirds have two that sit just above their lungs. This innovation, called a syrinx, allows wrens and other birds to modulate different notes at the same time. This helps them use vocal communication to penetrate the dense forest and find mates.
And they can produce different frequencies with the left side and the right side simultaneously, which is something that humans just can't do.
Birdsong has evolved to convey one main message: come mate with me. Far more sophisticated communication systems have evolved in chimps, whales, and dolphins. But new research suggests that there is one animal that may have surpassed every other mammal, except us, in language skills. It's a tiny, nearly defenseless rodent, the common prairie dog.
The language-like properties of prairie dogs are probably the most sophisticated animal language that has been described to date.
Kon Slobodchikov of Northern Arizona University has been decoding prairie dog chirps for 20 years.
They can describe the coat color of a coyote. They can describe the size and shape of the coyote. They can describe the speed of travel of the coyote. It's a tonal language system, kind of like Chinese and some of the Native American languages, where changing the tones changes the meaning.
Can these simple-looking creatures really be using highly sophisticated communication? There are hints that prairie dogs are surprisingly intelligent. They live in massive communities with underground tunnels that can stretch for miles.
Prairie dog towns are kind of like medieval cities, where there are marauders coming in, robbers coming in, and like in a medieval city, there are sentinel animals that are watching for predators.
Prairie dogs have many predators to fear, and they respond to each in different ways.
Here's a call for a hawk. Usually it's a single chirp.
When the alarm goes up for a hawk, the prairie dog stands bolt upright.
This is the call for a coyote.
The call for a distant coyote sends them scurrying to the edge of their burrows. And a nearby coyote alarm sends them underground. The calls are crucial to survival. Get the call wrong, and the prairie dogs get eaten. The calls sound similar, but as with Chinese and other tonal languages, tiny differences in tone convey big changes in meaning.
With some practice, we can hear the difference after maybe about 2 or 3 days. So we hear an alarm call and everybody looks around and says, "Where's the coyote?"
Over the years, Slobodchikov and his team compiled a dictionary of prairie dog by simulating different predator attacks and recording the calls. In the lab, the sound waves of individual barks are converted into visual graphics.
The call itself is a very complex acoustic waveform, and this is simply a pictorial representation.
When these graphics are analyzed by specialized software, the team watched the few calls they recognize explode into an entire prairie dog vocabulary.
Some of the calls I call adjective-like calls. Patricia wears a blue jumpsuit, and she goes walking in the prairie dog colony, and the prairie dogs call in response to her wearing the blue jumpsuit. And then she changes into a white jumpsuit, and the prairie dogs call to her in response to the white jumpsuit.
The patterns on the screen look the same, but to the trained eye, the subtle variations make all the difference.
Here's the call for the blue jumpsuit. It is a typical human call, but there is a trailing edge which denotes the color blue. And here is a white jumpsuit. Again, a typical human call, but it's got a buzz on the upper and the lower part. So this part codes for white here, and this part codes for blue here.
Kon Slobodchikov is now working to see if prairie dogs are born with their language-like ability, or if they are taught their calls, like humans learning words. If they are, it will be hard to deny that prairie dog is a true animal language. So all along, animals have been talking behind our backs. Could it be that the origins of human language are shared with our closest relatives?